What's going on, everybody? My name's Chris and welcome to my channel. This is part 7 of my StewMac.com ukulele kit build. Today we're going to start off by blending the neck into the fretboard because there's a little overhang right here and that needs to be taken care of. I've already done one side off camera just so I could get used to doing it, and I didn't want to have to experiment while I was on camera trying to talk. So I just want to make sure I had down what I was going to do, and it actually came out really good. It's completely smooth, and all I did was use a flat file and some 80 grit sandpaper. So now I have to do the opposite side, and I'll show you what I did. So I've got the flat file and I've got the side that's undone. All I did was just spend a little time, didn't stay in one spot too long. I just went kind of up and down the neck, back and forth, and then once I felt like I went too much this way, I didn't want to have just a flat spot, you know, so I'd kind of rotate it a little bit and go a little bit like that and then rotate back. So let me show you. And then you just feel every now and again to see how much you have left. Like down here, it's already almost flat. I can feel where I need to focus, and there's actually some glue squeeze out there that I need to get past as well. So looks like most of the work needs to be done here and here. So these two spots, so I'm going to kind of spend most of my time focusing on those two spots. All right, let me finish up and I'll come back to you. All right, so I'm pretty much almost down flat all the way across, it feels like. What I did at that point is I took some 80 grit sandpaper and just kind of smoothed everything out. And there is some kind of like not oil residue, but glue residue on the side of the fretboard. So I'm gonna try to sand that off as well. Well, it looks like it got a little blurry. So I think that's about it for that part. So let's move on to the next step. All right, the next step is to level the frets. And you use 320 and 400 grit sandpaper. So I've got it taped to my table saw because I know it's flat, and I'm just going to sand back and forth until I've touched all the frets. Okay, I can see some flattened spots on the edges. Whoa, it's kind of really flattening them down. Am I supposed to keep going? I don't want to flatten them completely out. Looks like the fretboard has this shape to it, so it's getting the edges first. Let me look at the instructions one more time and then I'll come back. So I had a better look at the instructions, and it says that yes, leveling the frets will leave flat tops on them. So they're really flat in the middle, and it looks like maybe the middle of the fretboard was a lot higher than everything else. So been at it for quite a while, not a long time, but I've touched the tops of all these. So all the way down here, there's still some back here that right in the middle, it doesn't look like they've really been touched too much, but on the edges they are. And I don't want to just keep on filing and make these shorter and shorter. So I think I'm going to stop here because I don't really see myself playing way up here on the ukulele. I just kept on going and then taking a flat edge, something a little bit smaller. When I first put this on here, I was able to rock it back and forth, and now it's pretty good. Like I can't hardly move it at all. I'm going to go to the 600 just slightly. I think I'm going to stop right there. So the next part, it says that since the tops of the frets are flat, they need to be rounded back over. Wrap your finger around the sandpaper and just go back and forth. It says before you round over the frets like I started doing, you need to kind of bevel the edges with some 400 grit. It says to take a ruler. I don't have like a really flat ruler, but I've got this bevel gauge, so I'm going to wrap around that. Yeah, it does feel a little bit smoother than the other side, but I probably need to do that a little bit more on a few of these. So I'm going to go ahead and finish that up and then do the other side, and then I'll be right back. I'm going to call that good. Check it out, I'm starting to prepare for my guitar build coming up. I got a bending iron. I have already sanded the whole body down to 150 grit. The instructions say 180, but all I had is 150. And I've already wet it with a rag so that I can raise the grain. So I can feel the grain raised up all around it. So now I've got some 220 and I've got to sand the whole thing to 220. So I cut a little block here and I'm just going to hold sandpaper on. I'm going to go ahead and sand now to 220. I'm going to finish sanding the body, I'm going to sand the neck, and I'll come back to you when I get done, because this part is no fun for me and it's not any fun for you watching it. So I'll see you in a bit. Alright, I've got to do something about this. This is the back of the neck, and I've got the neck on the ukulele, just holding it in place. And you can see that this sticks farther past the back. So I'm going to trim that off. Not only does it stick out farther past the back, but it's like curved down. You see the curve in it? So that will definitely have to be sanded out, I guess, while I fit the neck. So I'm going to take a pencil and draw a line right there and just really carefully trim that off at the bandsaw. Alright, this part is not easy. I'm really trying to be as accurate as possible. What I've done is I have a piece of blue tape here, and blue tape on the end. And I've got the center mark on all those. I measured the best I could on the neck, and then I followed the seam from where the sides attached to get the center mark at the tail. The instructions say that you need to measure along that center mark and mark on the body 16 and 31/32 of an inch. And that would be the center of the saddle slot. The center of the saddle slot is 7/32 of an inch from the edge of the saddle. So if I subtract 7/32 of an inch from 16 and 31/32, I get 16 and 24/32. And if you round down, that's 16 3/4. So I'm going to just measure 16 3/4, and that'll be the front of where the saddle goes. It's hard. What I've got here is I've got a clamp, spring clamp. I've taped the 1 inch mark at the edge where the nut will sit. So I know I need to go to, I guess it would be 17 3/4, since I'm taking off an inch here, and that will be where the bridge goes. So I need to put a piece of tape there. I don't know how accurate this is going to be. There's got to be a better way. I'm really kind of eyeing it at this point. I mean, hope it's okay. 17 3/4. Now the question is, do I even have the tape straight? I have no idea. That should be where the bridge goes. I mean, I held it as straight as I can. That just seems like there's room for error here, and it seems like there would be a better way to do this. What I've got to do is mask off around the bridge, and then put tape where the bridge is at, and then cut that out. Okay, so that's the top edge of the bridge. I guess I need to put some tape across right here. Probably should have put that tape on the other side. Alright, so since I don't have a straight edge, the only thing I have is this square here. So I want to mark the center line right there. I'm trying to line up this mark, and the bottom mark. I'm just going to say this is center because I'm lined up. I guess that's going to be the center. Alright, so after reading the instructions a little bit more, I've determined I don't need this piece yet. So I've got the center line marked there, and I marked center on the bridge. So what I've got to do is line that up, and it says to check the center of the neck. Now I don't know how I'm going to do that if everything's crooked right now. I mean, this thing can easily move. It's only got one of these things holding it in, but the instructions say to check the center of the neck first before you tape off the bridge, which I don't understand. If I've lined up an edge from here to here to here and then made a mark, I would assume that has to be the center. Then my bridge would have to be placed right here with tape around it, because I mean the neck's got to come off. I'm not even gluing the neck yet. I think because I need to tape off this area right now. Alright, so what I did was I used this straight edge and line up my 3 center points, and then try not to move the neck, and then I placed the neck on both sides of the ukulele. Tried to butt it up against that neck without touching it or without moving it, and then made a mark, and then I did the other side and made a mark here. So I should be able to measure and see if those marks are equidistant from the center. I got about 1 inch and 1/8, just shy of about an inch and a 16th right there. I don't know how I'm gonna set this up without moving it, because it's just not steady. Put another one of these in there. See, I just moved it. Look how easy it moves. There's no way to get it set up perfectly and then have it not move before I tape it off. It's not gonna work. Let me do this again. So this side was 1 inch and 1/8. And this side was 1 inch and 1/16. I need to move it just slightly in. Don't really know how to do this without accidentally moving the neck, because this thing's heavy and awkward and it pulls. See? Oh, 1 inch and just shy of 1/16. 1 inch and 1/8. Golly, so it's got to be lined up between those 2 marks. It's got to be some kind of jig. There's got to be a jig for this kind of stuff, huh? It'll be so much easier. This is ridiculous. Of course, my light, I can't see. All right, so I'm in between that mark too. So I think that's going to be where it's centered at. So I've got to do my best not to touch it. I think what I'm going to do first is tape off the neck area so that I know that's where it goes, and then I'll worry about taping off the bridge after. Now I get to tape off for the bridge. So something happened with the kids. So that's where the bridge goes. don't know if that'll work. Alright, well that was more successful than I thought it would be. But that's where the bridge will go. Alright, the next step is to finesse the joint where the neck meets up with the body. There's a gap here, and you saw this spot which curves down. So the main thing I'm going to do is try to make sure when I push in there that I've got the neck in between the tape. So I've got to keep on doing that until I can get an even gap all the way, or no gap I guess, between the neck here and right here on both sides. So I'm going to do this for a little while. It's probably going to take me a while, and I'll get to you when I get done. Alright, I spent quite a bit of time working on this, so let me show you where I'm at. I've got a pretty good seam. Here's the other side. It took me quite a while to work on it because I was having a problem with the neck. It just kept wobbling back and forth, and I couldn't figure out which way was it supposed to be, or I couldn't get it to stand straight up because it seemed to want to wobble either way. So what I had to do was I took a chisel and just scooped out all of the middle here, so that I would just mainly be touching around the edges to take out any high spots on this middle part, which I think were causing it to wobble back and forth. So once I got that done, it was sitting where it won't wobble. But when I looked at it on the tape where I had it set, it looked like it was leaning that way. So took the sandpaper and I worked on this side a little bit to make it line back up within the tape line. So I think I'm good to go, and I'm ready to glue up. And one last time, just to be sure before I glue up the neck where it's at, I put a piece of tape here and marked center on the neck. And then I put a piece of tape down here and marked center on the body. I took this piece out of my combo square and I lined up those two marks, and I made a mark right here on the tape. Then I took my combo square and I lined it up on the edge of the neck there and made a mark. And then I lined it up on this side and made a mark. And then I measured between the center line and those edge marks. So this one comes out to just shy of 1 1/8. And then this comes out to just shy of 1 1/8. So I think the neck is square here as best as I can get it. Just manually doing it with this really cheap combo square part. So since I'm satisfied with that, what I need to do is very carefully remove the rubber band I have holding it and put some tape down along the edge of the neck, and then I'll be ready to glue it up. I'm going to take the little caul I made first and attach it on the inside of the guitar. I've already glued in the little dowels on the neck piece. Make sure this. I think I got the camera back enough where I can see everything. I need to go ahead and glue this down before I do this. I'm just going to tie this up, then I'll get the other one out. I hope that is okay. Alright, so you see it, neck glued up. I hope it's okay, but now I think I need to try to get this tape off of here. Well, that's going to do it for now. I'll let it dry, and then we'll see what it looks like when I take all of this off. But that's gonna have to wait till next time, I'm afraid. I ran behind this weekend getting a lot of the stuff done. I meant to have this glued up last night, but it didn't happen. So for the next segment, we'll undo all of this and see how it looks. We'll do some cleanup and then move on to the next part. Did you see how I had to scoop out the underside of the neck so that it wouldn't wobble back and forth? That's probably why I had so many issues whenever I was trying to find center for the bridge, because that neck was wobbling and I barely touched it and it would move. So, and you probably saw that I was getting pretty frustrated. So I'm just glad to be past this part. This was a frustrating segment. If I go on to build a guitar, or when I go on to build a guitar, I'm going to be looking for some kind of jig that will already work to help me line up, find center easily, and find the bridge where the bridge goes pretty easily. So there's got to be something out there that I can use for that. So I thank you for watching. If you've watched it this far through all of the episodes, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for checking in, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.